Hello and welcome to Frostpunk the Arks. Frostpunk the Arks is the first expansion to the game. It takes place roughly simultaneous to the main storyline, from what I can tell. However, it is a much shorter story than A New Home, so we'll probably be about half the episodes. In this story, we'll be playing as a group of engineers who are tasked with ensuring the safety of the Seedling Arcs, buildings storing an array of seeds from plants around the world, so that those plant species can be brought back after the freeze is over. Due to time constraints, this series will be recorded in batches ahead of time. Please, as always, comment on the videos and discuss in my Discord server, the link for which can be found in the description below, but know that your suggestions will likely not be able to be applied to this series. However, if they are applicable to the game as a whole, I will endeavor to include them in a later series. So, when we started A New Home, we just clicked A New Home because that's the default game, that's the base game, the default storyline, the main storyline. But in this series, we're going to click Select Scenario, and of course we have 6 different stories to choose from, which we will get to we'll get to the remaining 4 in the coming series. We're going to play the Arks. As the brightest minds of Oxford and Cambridge, we have been sent to save priceless seed and plant specimens from the eternal winter. Do we have what it takes to keep the Seedling Arcs safe? So you can customize the scenario to choose different difficulties here. We're going to keep everything on medium, which is the default, and that was the way that we played A New Home as well, on medium difficulty. Survivor mode is an even greater challenge. There's no pause. The game will be very difficult, and we only can save as we exit the game. So we're not going to do that. The way that I play uses a lot of pause, as you're aware if you watched A New Home, and so we're going to continue to play in that sort of manner. So I think without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The Seedling Arcs. We have been chosen to safeguard a priceless treasure, the seeds and seedlings of plants from all over the world. They've been deposited in Seedling Arcs to stop them from freezing, but it falls to us to build a city to protect these precious buildings until the winter ends, however long that may be. The only way to do this is with automatons. We'll ensure the green earth is reborn, even if we aren't there to witness it. Let's get to work. Factory plans. We've reached the generator site, and the seedlings are safely stored in the Seedling Arcs. We are supposed to deploy automatons to make sure the city can run itself no matter the weather, but the transport carrying the factory plans was lost in a blizzard. We need to build a beacon and send a team to search for it. First thing I'm going to do, of course, is pause the game and take a look around. The first thing you obviously notice in this scenario are these 4 buildings. These are the Seedling Arcs. They contain seeds from around the globe, and we need to keep the building at least chilly, or the seeds will start to freeze beyond recovery. There are 4 of them, and other than that, the only other thing you really see here, if I can find them, is a automaton. In A New Home, we chose to dismantle the one automaton we found, and we chose not to build the factory and build more automatons because we had 680-something people in our city by the time the game ended. We have 45, and that's basically all we're ever going to have in this scenario. So automatons become much more important to maintaining the city and maintaining the coal supply and whatnot in order to keep everything running. The next thing you notice here is the shape and size of this cavern, or this hollow that we're in. It is much smaller, at least the circle of it is much smaller than what was provided in A New Home, and it's kind of oblong shaped. It has these extensions out here that are filled with trees. So many trees, in fact, that we are going to need them all. So the plan will be to actually destroy some trees we need to build out here, because we need to build out here to get to this steel, or iron ore rather, and this coal deposit out here, and we aren't going to be able to destroy all the trees in the way before we get to that point. So we're going to have to do that. Speaking of supplies, there are 2 coal patches here, coal piles here. there are 2 wood crate piles here, and another coal pile here, wood crates here, 2 steel wreckages here, and 2 more wood crates there. Lots of wood available on this map. And in fact, we're going to go ahead and start taking advantage of that now by putting 15 of our engineers on coal, 15 of our engineers on wood, one automaton on wood, and then 5 engineers on steel. And then also in the initial pause, what do we call it, session, we're going to go ahead and just go into the Book of Laws and research or sign emergency shift, just like we did in A New Home, and never use it. Some people recommend using it for this scenario. I've found that it's not necessary, at least on this difficulty level, so I don't do it. And then the final thing we're going to do is also the same thing we did in A New Home, and that is to build a workshop. And we're going to actually build this workshop right here in front of this Seedling Arc, and the reason for it will be revealed a little bit later, but it also happens to be exactly 2 spaces away from the central road there, which means we have enough room to build houses or medical posts or anything like that in those first 2 spaces. So let's go ahead and build a workshop here, and that'll be what those 10 engineers that are remaining get up to in the beginning of the game here. Let's go ahead and unpause here and we'll read the thing. Preserve the seedlings. We must ensure that the seedling arcs don't freeze. All the seedlings and many of the tropical seeds are very sensitive to the cold. If the temperature in any seedling arc falls below chilly for too long, its precious contents will be irreversibly damaged. I see. So we have an automaton, and one of the twiggies or issues with automatons is they need to refuel themselves with steam from the generator or a steam hub once we build them, every 12 hours, I think it is. So this one's going to go ahead and get to work, but before 8 o'clock tonight comes, we need to have the generator heated up and ready for the automaton to come back and refuel itself. And so because of that, I'm just going to turn the generator on at about quitting time tonight and then leave it on for the rest of the game. I find that it's easier. It doesn't burn that much coal, and it's much easier than trying to fiddle with the automaton to get it to turn the heater on and off, the generator on and off. And the workshop is done. I find it difficult or too fiddly to turn the thing on and off every time the automaton needs steam, because if it runs out of steam, it won't continue harvesting until it walks all the way in here, gets its steam, and walks all the way back. However, if you have the generator on, the automaton will seem to continue working, or your, in this case, wood supply overnight, for example, will continue gathering while the automaton is walking in and walking back. So I find it much more logical, or much more logical to just go ahead and keep the generator on all the time and not fiddle with it with the automaton even while the temperature's this warm. It's a personal preference, but that's kind of what I've found. So other people will turn the generator on and off, and I don't find that's useful for me. So we have our first workshop built here, so we're going to go ahead and assign 5 workers there and do our first research, which, just like in A New Home, is going to be the beacon. While that is researching, I want the other remaining 5 engineers to build me a road out here. And I think about to there is where I want it to go. So let's unpause again and speed up the game, because we don't really have anything else going on just yet, except for that. And we want to go ahead and get everything kind of building here, or researching. And the beacon research just finished. We're a little bit before quitting time. We're going to go ahead and start up the next research, which is going to be faster gathering. In A New Home, we didn't do this right away, I don't think. But this, because we have such few people, we need to have more people assigned to gathering or we need to have a 15% boost to gathering. So we're going to go ahead and start that research. And then we're going to build the beacon. And those 5 workers who just finished building the road are now going to build a beacon right here. They can't go out any further because it's the edge of the cliff. And they can't go that way for the same reason, so this makes a very good spot. And I think I got the road in the right spot, or maybe I went 2 tiles too far, but it's fine. It's 2 wood, it's not worth fretting about. We're going to go ahead and get that beacon built. And as soon as quitting time hits, we'll go ahead and fire up the steam generator. And that'll give us some heat there. No roof over our heads. Captain, people are understandably concerned about the lack of shelter. They're falling ill from sleeping outside in this terrible cold. We better do something about it. And just like in a new home, I'm going to provide shelter for everyone. Especially given that we only have 45 people, that's 5 houses. We're fine. And they are walking out there to go ahead and do it. I can build a few houses now, but I can't build all 5 just yet. We'll go ahead and build 3, because I need some wood left over for the first scouting party, and the amount we need is 40. As you can see, the automaton is still collecting wood. That is incrementing slowly. And eventually it will get up and walk here and refuel itself with the steam. It's not precisely... Actually, here it comes now, I think. So if I hadn't turned this on already, it would complain. We would get an alert kind of thing like we do with the other stuff, and then I would have to turn it on. But while it's being turned on, or while it's being turned on and the automaton's walking in here, we're not gathering any wood. But as you can see, the wood is still increasing in this scenario. That's why I like to keep this on. So your mileage may vary. You can definitely wait to turn it on, but for me, it's just easier. Less hassle, at least. And we're just about ready to build another house. The beacon is built first. We're no longer lost and blind. From now on, our people will be able to survey the icy barrens that surround us. Frostland. And, of course, we have 1 point of interest here, abandoned supplies. Let's go ahead and pause. Come into the beacon. And create our first scout party, which takes up those last 5 engineers. And 40 wood. And we'll go ahead and visit the abandoned supplies. 15 hours later, we will get there. And we have almost enough wood. Storm on the horizon. Captain, with the beacon operational, we can clearly see the storm approaching from the south. It's still some distance away, but we'd better keep an eye on it and make sure we set up the infrastructure needed to heat the Arks before it hits. Okay, so now we can build our last house. I'm going to wait till it gets to 11 just so we don't have to listen to the annoying complaint. Goes. But as you can see, we're still gathering that very slow trickle of wood that is being gathered by the automaton, even though it's here refueling and not out here gathering. So it's just a weird thing in the game, but I'm taking advantage of it. And that should take care of the last 5 people and give us room for 5 more. Technically. We already have a sick person, probably one of the 5 people who didn't have a home. Let's go and sign the next law, which is going to be extended shift, just like in a new home as well. And we're going to go around and extend all of our shifts to 14 hours, 6 to 20. There's not anything there, except for the place where the automaton is working, because the automaton works 24/7. So that one we won't have to adjust at all. I want to make sure, I did that one first, I think. So we're good, and we don't have anything there to adjust. So as we build new buildings, we're going to extend their shifts as well, at least for a little while. Alright, shelter promise fulfilled. Everyone feels relieved with a roof, even a flapping one over their head. Hope rises. I know many will complain, but we must work harder to survive. Alright, they will complain indeed. Indeed. So the next thing I want to build is a medical tent, medical post, because we obviously need it. But it's going to take 25 wood, so we have a few minutes to wait on that one. Let's go at top speed here. And now they're going to work for the early shift at 6 o'clock. And now the wood is climbing fast. So let's go ahead and build the medical post right here, next to that road. And we're going to need to take away these 5 engineers from steel. To come and build a medical post.
The work shift starts.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put 3 of them back here in the steel. And we'll leave 2 of them to occupy them, or man the medical post, because we have 2 sick people, we need at least 2 staff. You can kind of do that with the medical post a little bit by only providing enough people to one-to-one treat the sick people. And of course, we only have 2 workers, so we're short-shifted here a little bit. And we have 1 sick absence, ironically. So the sick person can take care of themselves, I guess. I'm not sure how that works. So now the faster gathering is researched. Our next research is going to be heaters. I find this one to be a little bit more important to begin with than the steam hub, but to be fair, steam hub will be next, so kind of doesn't matter a whole lot. We want to have that steel still coming in, so I left those 3 workers out there to deal with that. And here comes the automaton again to refuel, I think. Yep. And the scouts have reached the abandoned supplies. So our supplies are covered in snow and ice. They seem undamaged, but we'll have to dig them out to be sure. Recovered treasure. We spent hours hacking at the ice to free our supplies, but we did it. We were forced to abandon them once. Doing it again would be unforgivable. And we discovered 2 new sites, the broken automaton and the industrial ruins. And unlike in A New Home, when we were avoiding the Winter Home questline, we are not going to avoid the questline in this one, because we need to find those factory plans and get things moving. So we're going to continue on to the broken automaton. So we depleted our first pile of wood crates here. I'm going to move them over to one of these piles, because we're going to keep gathering the wood that we can. But this will be somewhat temporary. And we depleted the wood crates the automaton was working on. So I'm going to actually put the automaton... I'm going to put the automaton on that wood crates as well. Because wood is a very necessary thing here. Okay, and it's not really free time just yet, because we have the extended shifts on, but it will be very soon. Heaters are researched, and we're going to go ahead and do steam hubs next. And then I want to set up the next thing we want to build, which is going to be the cookhouse. I'm going to put that in... I think I'll put it in right here. Now that we've reached 8 p.m., it is time to... they can go and build that. The next thing we want to sign is the soup law. Just for the same reason we did in A New Home, it gives us an extra ration. Out of every 2 food, we get 5 rations instead of 4, 2 raw food, that is. It does cause some hope and discontent issues, but it's better than the food additives that can also make people sick. So, I'd rather have discontent than illness. For the same reasons. So once that gets built, we will go ahead and staff that and start making soup. The next thing that I want to start building is some gathering posts. We don't have very much steel just yet, but we can afford 3 of them, which is pretty close to what we need, actually. You can see what a gathering post will collect from by being highlighted in green, and we can't quite get this one to pick up that one as well as all 3 of these. There's no spot where that is possible, so we're not going to bother with that. And also then I'm not going to bother making these putting this out where I have to build a bunch of road to get there. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 in here. I'm going to put 1 in here, and I'm going to put 1 out here, and that'll be all we actually need as far as gathering posts go. For the initial piles, the initial material piles here. Yeah, we'll go that way, because this automaton will finish up this this pile pretty quickly here. It won't take it too long, and then it can go and actually work at one of the gathering posts. And this coal's going to be gone pretty soon too, so we'll be fine there as well. We have kind of plenty of coal. We have 2 days worth of coal already. So at the low power that we're running at, it's really good. Our first coal's going to come in just over a day, so we'll have to deal with that. Let's switch this to soup. Okay, it defaulted to that. Let's pull 5 workers off of something, and I think that something is going to be this here. And put those 5 workers in. Put 5 of those workers in here with the extended shift. We don't need a heater yet, and we don't want emergency shift ever. And then the rest of those 10 workers, I want to put in to this gathering post. And then we'll put 3 workers we had available still into here gathering steel, because they will gather steel faster using the gathering post than they will using it directly at... Alright, I'm going to pause. That one's not done yet. I extended the shifts on the 2, but I didn't do it on the 3rd yet. We gotta remember that now. Only the top of the automaton is sticking out of the snow. Digging it out will take some effort, but should be worth it. Malfunction repaired. This automaton was left where it broke down. Thankfully, we've managed to dig it out and fix it. We can now send this fully operational automaton to the city. Sites discovered, lost dreadnought in mountainside cave, and the automaton will safely reach the city on its own. So we're going to send it to our city and continue on to the lost dreadnought. Okay, unpause again, and let's get this done. And even though no one's going to work here yet, I'm going to go ahead and put the extended shift on. So we have 5 overtime shift works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because only the ones that are actually have workers at them count. This is going to be done in... math's too hard to do, but something like 16, 18 hours. So we'll have to have another job for the automaton to do at that point in time anyway. And here it comes for more steam. And our coal pile here was depleted. So I'm going to send those 10 workers out here, or 10 of those 15 workers out here, and we'll put the other 5 here in this, geez, whatever this thing is called, in this gathering post to collect some more steel. And we should still have 5 complaining. So yeah. And then I think what'll happen is once this automaton is done with this coal pile in 12, 13 hours maybe, we'll probably put it on this gathering post and take these 10 workers and do something else with them. Some of them, actually we'll probably put 2 of them there, 3 of them there, and then figure something else out. We don't need all of these people working in here. So actually I'm going to take 3 of them out for now and put them into there. No, 2 of them out and put them into there, sorry. And then once we get most of this food converted, which actually is almost done, so maybe I will take the other 2 out and put them in here, because we do have 4 sick people, so it's not a bad idea to have 4 workers in there. We really only need 1 person working here until we burn through all that raw food, and then we can take the last one out too. But I like to get them started on this day cooking everything we can that we have available in raw food. It seems to work nice for me. Okay, so they're coming out here to work. There's a lot of coal here to pick up, which is great. I'll speed the game up, and hopefully we'll get this research done. Yeah, we'll get this research done in a moment. Okay, so the last things we have here on sort of tier 0 are some of the basic resource collection machines here. But we're going to wait on those for a minute and actually jump down to drawing boards first. That gives us that tier 1 set of things, and because I want to work my way toward the hothouse, which actually we can take a look at here. The hothouse is our only source of food in this scenario, and we're kind of going to need it at some point, so we might as well get it now. Here we can take this last engineer out of here and put him into here just so we have a job for them, even though we don't need a 5th one there necessarily just now. Somebody's complaining about being hungry, but there's food now, so once they get done with work this afternoon, or this evening rather, they'll be fine. Oh, our law has finished. And the next law that I want to do is going to be, and this is where I kind of go a little bit multi-directional. Sometimes I kind of, those are the 3 that I always do first. The next one that I usually do first is either radical treatment or sustain life. I've done them both in this scenario. I actually like the sustain life better, which I like it better in general. But I think I chose this in a new home. And I think we're okay with this because we're eventually going to get a care house anyway, and then we'll eventually have even more interesting things to do. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with sustain life this time. We can't cure the gravely ill, but at least we can keep them alive. We won't risk dangerous amputations with radical treatment. So we'll get a little bit of discontent, but we'll get a little bit of hope out of the deal. And gravely ill will take up beds and medical posts and remain a burden. And this one, we may save someone who's gravely ill, but we may also cause them to be an amputee. I don't plan on having anybody get to gravely ill, so we're going to do the sustain life because it's a little bit better ethically, I guess. And that works better for me, for the way that I play. And they're complaining about wanting an infirmary to satisfy that, but we actually don't need that either. And the scouts have reached the Lost Dreadnought. Our expedition's main vehicle left hopelessly wedged in a crevasse. Exploring it will be difficult, but we have to find the factory plans that are on board. Explore. Factory plans. We've rappelled down into the crevasse, listening to the ominous sounds of the ice cracking under the weight of the steel behemoth. After an hour or so of searching, we find the document safe and retrieve the factory plans. We must get them to the city as fast as possible. The weather is getting worse by the minute, and we need automatons to secure the city and the Seedling Arcs before the storm hits. Dice discovered empty shelter and windswept snowfield. So we get a lot of resources from the Dreadnought here, including 3 steam cores. And the plans for the factory. We're going to take everything, of course, and we're going to head straight back to the city so that we can use those factory plans. And we'll just, we're not going to explore any of these other points of interest just now. We're going to head back to the city and get that factory going because right now we don't have it available here. It's still locked in, so much so that we can't even pick it here, which is kind of interesting. So let's unpause. Factory plans found. Excellent. Now we can start setting up the automated infrastructure to keep the Seedling Arcs at a safe temperature. Bring back the plans, set up a factory, and increase the number of automatons to 3. Hope rises. I suppose I should go fast forward again on this. Not quitting time. Did I extend this one? Okay, good. And the wood crates are depleted out here where the automaton was working. So we're going to take the engineers out, put the automaton in, and then I want to build the second workshop. And I waited until that happened to do this because I needed to have all these people working out here for as long as possible. And of course we just barely missed the research cutoff for today, but we'll get it in the morning pretty quickly, especially with 2 of these ready to go. And we have 5 people that we can't really do anything with, so I could assign them to work at one of the piles, gathering wood. That's probably the best thing to do, at least that way they're not bored in the morning. And of course that means they're going to complain about the overtime work. Oh, we need to extend this shift too. Oopsie, that was almost a bad. So we have 1, 2, 3. No one's there. 4 and 5. We have 5 discontent due to overtime work. So the funny thing is when the automaton goes to work at a building, it kind of merges itself into the building and controls the building itself, kind of like that, which is kind of weird because it's gathering junk around here, but for somehow it's able to do that by merging itself with that building. With the buildings, with the buildings a little bit later, that kind of makes sense. I mean, with the other buildings like the coal mine or whatever, kind of makes sense, but with the gathering post, it's kind of weird. Either way, I'm fine with it. We have 4 days worth of coal now at this temperature, but it's going to get colder here in a moment. So let's speed it up, get it to the cold snap here, and then we can come back to work. Drawing boards researched, and so now we can research the hothouse that we've been waiting for. Oh, food, hothouse. And this is all the workshops I think we're going to end up having is just 2. It seems to work out fine for me, just having the 2. Okay, so the frost is here. What did that affect? Not a whole lot. I'm going to turn the heaters on in some of the work buildings here, but I'm not going to turn the heaters on in the Arks. They just need to be chilly. They don't need to be livable. So I'm not going to waste the coal on that, because it doesn't hurt anything. So so we turned on the heat in all the gathering posts. Actually, this one doesn't need to be turned on, because the automaton, as far as I can tell, does not need heat. It seems to work fine without it. And we have another law we can sign. The next thing that I choose from is one of these 2, extra rations for the ill or overcrowding. This gives us extra rations to speed up recovery for people. And this, of course, doubles the capacity for medical facilities, but it causes discontent, and using it causes discontent. And I don't really usually need it, so I'm just going to take the extra rations, which probably also gives us some hope and or reduces some discontent if we want. Actually, it doesn't do anything, but people complain about it, so it's fun. But I guess if I need it, if I want to accelerate some healing, I can. And I think actually this is a good place to end for today. So we've done a good start. We've gotten a good start going here. We'll get that hothouse researched in a few more hours sometime today, and then we can build a hothouse. And actually, I'm going to build a hothouse right here next to this arc, and then we can move on with the game. So thank you all for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.